Hi there and welcome to NIX TV. We've got all the best news, previews and match reports right across this Hyundai A-League season for the Wellington Phoenix. I'm Jason Pine, with me is club legend and ambassador Ben Sigmund. Well, tough old Halloween night for the team over at Etihad Stadium in Melbourne against the Victory. Siggy, what will they take away from that loss?
Yeah, it's a tough one. It's not a very nice place for the old Wellington Phoenix, is it? But I think the damage was done after the two penalties, and when you're conceding them, in the first sort of 15, 20 minutes, it's always, an uphill battle. You got to score three, in the second half. But, they got back to 2-1 after Roy's great run and, good penalty. But, straight after that, it was really downhill. And going down to 10 men, again, doesn't really help them, does it? But, unfortunately, 6-1 doesn't really say much on the scoreboard, does it?
Is it difficult or not to put a performance like that behind you and move on when you've got another game coming up in a few days?
Yeah, for me it was always about, I felt like I'd let the country down, I let my team down, my teammates, the coach, my family, so it was about coming out, in the next game and proving that you're better than that, and you've got to, prove a point to everyone, and the best way to do it is come out and have a blinder and win this game against Newcastle.
Which is coming up on Saturday night. It's a 7:30 start. Now, tickets are available at ticketek.co.nz. Kids from as low as $2.50 and adults start from $25. It's a 7:30 kickoff on Saturday night, Guy Fawkes night, here at Westpac Stadium. And if you can't make it along to the game, catch it on Sky Sport 2. Myself and Siggy involved in commentary. It's a 7:35 start on Sky Sport 2 on Saturday night. Well, in better news for the Wellington Phoenix, the reserves, the under-20 side, had a battle against Team Wellington in the Sterling Sports Premiership in the weekend just gone. It turned out to be a classic encounter.
It was an all-capital affair between defending champs Team Wellington and the Wellington Phoenix under-20s at David Farrington Park. New acquisition, Cam Howison, returning to New Zealand after a professional stint in England, was a real threat for the visitors, with this effort just gone wide. There were plenty of chances in the first half for the hosts. Howison involved again, sent the ball into Ben Harris, and he was quick to get back up to meet Andy Bevan's cross-in to beat Oliver Sale at his near post. That opened his scoring account for the season, and with it gave his side a 1-0 lead after 20 minutes. The Wellington Phoenix under-20s started to find their rhythm in the game and had the chance to go level. Logan Rogerson unmarked at the far post but was unable to get it on target. A failed clearance from Robinson at the back, and keeper Scott Basale charged forward to help clean up the mess in what ended up being a comedy of errors. Max Marta saw the empty goal and went for it. Scores level in the capital. Into the last minute of stoppage time, and one final attempt for either side to come away with the 3 points. The Phoenix were quick to break down the left-hand side. Rogerson did well to beat his man and worked it down the field, eventually managing the cross away to Marta, who bundled it home to take the lead. The home side on the back foot now scrambled to find an equaliser, but ran out of time. Team Wellington handed their second successive loss in the competition, and the Phoenix under-20s with their first win of the campaign.
Yeah, great game at David Farrington Park between crosstown rivals Team Wellington and the Wellington Phoenix under-20 side. That late goal from Max Marta giving the Wellington Phoenix under-20s all 3 points. There's some good promising young players in the Phoenix under-20s at the moment.
Yeah, Max Marta, 2 goals, great, And, in the past, they'd probably lose that game 1-0, so it was really good to see them, go right through to the 90 minutes or 95 minutes that Ernie always talks about, and I'm sure Andy Hedge talks about it too, and to win that 2-1, I think, gives them a lot of confidence, and they'll feel good going into this next round.
Absolutely they will. They play the curtain raiser to the Wellington Phoenix's game on Saturday here at Westpac Stadium. It's a 4:15 kickoff. If you'd like to get down and watch the Wellington Phoenix under-20s take on Tasman United, including former Phoenix star Paul Ifill, of course, 4:15 on Saturday afternoon at Westpac Stadium. One of the stars of the Wellington Phoenix under-20s this season has been Luke Tongue, and as well as putting in some impressive performances on the field, he's also been able to disprove some theories about dyslexia off the field.
I knew I was different, and I couldn't even write my name. I remember going to school and just crying because I couldn't do it. I always make mistakes when I'm texting my friends. It takes me 20 minutes to reply because I can't think of the right word. Your brain just works so differently to everyone else's because you can't do it and you want to do it so bad. I was scared to ask for help. I didn't want to be named as a dyslexic. At a young age, I always remember being able to read the game better than most people. When the ball was spinning in the air or coming from a goal kick, I knew where the ball was going. No one knew that I couldn't read or write. They just saw me as a football player. They just escaped me and just felt like I was on top of the world, really. No one could judge me, no one could put me down. Even if they did, I knew. I just loved what I was doing.
Yeah, impressive young guy, Luke Tongue, and set to be a big part of the under-20s and maybe even the Phoenix senior side in years to come. Don't forget that curtain raiser 4:15 Saturday afternoon here at Westpac Stadium. Followed by the main game, the Wellington Phoenix against the Newcastle Jets. And a man who's become a fixture in the Wellington Phoenix side over the past 3 or 4 seasons. His second stint at the club is goalkeeper Glen Moss. And NIX TV tagged along with Mossy as he drove around our picturesque city.
I remember the first time I landed into Wellington and one of the staff from the club picked me up. It was pouring rain. It was pretty miserable, to be honest. Bit of a bumpy flight coming in, and I'm not the best flyer either, so yeah, I was a bit nervous coming in, and the weather was horrible, and yeah, to be honest, I thought, oh, this is an interesting place for a young guy to come back to after living in Sydney for four or 5 years. So yeah, it took a little while to adjust to a smaller city and different climate and things like that. But once we got into pre-season training that first season, and we had a really good group of guys, and quite enjoyed it, to be honest. Glad you brought that up, because see where that dentist sign is over there? I'm not sure if we can get any footage of the dentist sign. That was the apartment I rented when I first moved over, when the Phoenix was created, and that was extremely expensive rent for what it was. It's a one-bedroom shoebox. It's not that whole bottom level, it's only half, and it was $480 a week. And I didn't have much money to spend after that when I first came over. But look at the location. I walked in there, and at that stage I was living on my own, and I thought, this is awesome. We live in Miramar now, so it's a fantastic suburb. It's quite handy. It's close to the airport for obviously all our travelling, and when we're training at Newtown Park, it's not too far away, and actually a couple of the boys have moved into the area now as well. So Andrew Durante lives 2 streets away, which sometimes is a little bit inconvenient when he pops over unannounced with his 3 children, just as we've tidied up the place. But you know, we love him and we love his family, so it's all good fun. Yeah, so this park over here, we used to take my son Ashton when he was 11 or 12 months down, and just let him at that stage kind of crawl around and stumble around, and you know, just enjoy some fresh air and sunshine as we're just living in the apartment around the corner here. And yeah, we used to kind of hold his hand and let him take his first couple of steps. And I was rolling a football around with him one day, I think it was the day after a game, and I rolled the ball along, and he let go of my hand and must have taken 4 or 5 steps. And you know, it was his first steps really in that park over there. And you know, every time we drive past it now, and we still take him there for a play, and he still runs around and kicks the ball, and you know, just those little memories, little special memories like that. Match day in Wellington is an awesome experience. It's a day really. It's an event. It's not just a match. So yeah, as we come along here, and you know, I guess really get into game mode. Yeah, it's a nice feeling pulling up at the lights and seeing parents with their kids, and you know, a group of guys, starting their night out, I guess, coming to the Phoenix game and get you pumped up. Seeing those guys, looking for a good time, and us, usually a couple of us sharing a car ride to the ground, talking about the game and what we've got to do, and then seeing the fans basically doing the same thing on the way to the ground. Either pick up a couple of the boys and then start kind of talking about game and thinking about it a bit more and who we're up against, and you run through all the scenarios in your head as you get closer to the ground. How you're going to win the game, what are you going to do, what the instructions have been during the week from the coaching staff, things like that. The weather, how that's going to play a part. Usually we're driving along here with our fingers crossed for nice clear skies, and as a goalkeeper, not too much wind, because the wind does play a big part in the stadium, and it's something that I kind of look for coming along here to see what it's like with the trees moving and flags and cranes being blown over and things like that. So
the car's shaking, it's not going to be good.
Yeah, it's funny, or you look on the sidewalk there at the pedestrians and the fans, and you kind of having a look to see how far they're leaning into the wind, because sometimes they've got a good lean on, and you can only imagine what the wind does to a football in a round stadium when the wind comes in through that tunnel. So when you start to see the stadium and the advertising around it, and there's usually flags on the light poles and things like that, you get that excitement, that buzz. Nervous energy for me is just the adrenaline kicking in, really. Because if you're not nervous, if there's no nervous energy, then I feel that it doesn't mean anything to you. It's almost like a training session or a practice game. But I love feeling those nerves, that excitement, pulling to the ground, ready to go out there. As I said, it's what I look forward to all week, and I have done for my 12, 13 odd years playing as a professional.
Glen Moss showing us some of his favourite sights and sounds around the Wellington region. I guess someone like Mossy, pretty proud guy, he won't have been too happy picking the ball out of his net 6 times on Monday night, would he?
Nah, poor old Mossy would have been pretty frustrating, and when they got down to 10 men, it kind of opened up, and that's when the goals started getting conceded, and it's pretty awful having to go and pick up the ball 6 times out of your net. But I know that Mossy he'll be racking the troops up this week, and it's so important that we all get in behind them, because it is tough when you have a big defeat like that, but we know that they're going to come out against Newcastle firing.
Yep, there's the message from former star and club ambassador Ben Sigmund. Get along on Saturday night. The tide is about to turn. We can feel it here in the changing rooms at Westpac Stadium. Be here on Saturday night to see it happen. 7:35 kickoff. Tickets from all the normal places. Make sure you're here on Saturday night to see the Phoenix, we hope, get their first points, maybe 3 of them, for the 2016-17 A-League season. On behalf of Ben Sigmund, I'm Jason Pine. We'll see you next time on NIX TV.
Come on, the Phoenix.